This session is hosted in partnership with Seller University. You can find us in Seller Central, where we offer a ton of training across different topics through different
Let me
modalities
know in
like
the chat if you
PDFs
guys can
and
hear it.
videos. You can follow along on the GIF. So when you are in Seller Central, you can navigate to the upper left-hand side, choose Learn from the menu, and then select Seller University. You can move on over to the Webinars tab, where you will see all the webinars we offer. You can also find us on YouTube by searching our channel name, Amazon Seller University. Before we start our session today, let's cover the technology. You should have joined us today with Live Webinar, which has our main presentation screen, along with 3 boxes on the right-hand side. Feel free to adjust the boxes by clicking the up or down arrows highlighted in orange that you see on your screen. We recommend fully expanding the chat, which is the bottom box on the screen. You can test this feature now if you want to. Let's say hi to our team that will be supporting today's webinar. And remember, you can type in your questions during this presentation or wait till the Q&A portion
That'll be
of
good.
the presentation.
Definitely type in your questions, guys.
Welcome to our session on best practices for resellers in the Amazon store. My name is Lyda, and I am part of the Seller University team and excited to get started. In today's session, we'll go over some best practices for matching your products to existing listings, how to apply to sell in restricted categories and brands, and how to suggest edits on a product detail page. We'll also provide an overview of automated pricing and the featured offer. We'll get started with the process of matching your products to existing listings. There are 2 important aspects of every Amazon product listing: the product detail page and the offer. A product detail page is the page customers see and where they can add the products to their cart. The offer is the specific price and delivery options you provided for your product. When you list products already sold in the Amazon store, you'll be matching your ASIN to its existing product detail page. Matching helps you add your offer information to the product detail page that already exists for that product. Matching your product correctly helps customers find your offer, so take the time to ensure you've matched your listings correctly to the exact product.
I bet that they're
This means the
saying this
color,
because
the
of how many people are
quantity,
jumping onto the
size,
bad
and
bundles when
all
there's like
other
a sticker
variations
or
should
something
match
added. Let me know
exactly
what you
to
guys
the
think. What do you think the
existing
purpose
listing.
is behind that? If there's an ulterior motive there?
Let's look at one way to match your product to an existing listing. Start by selecting Add a Product in the Inventory section of the Seller Central main menu.
Is the mic better? I
Next,
turned my mic up a little
search
bit.
for the
This is
product you'd
mostly going
like
to be
to
them
sell
talking too. As
using the search
we're
bar.
just gonna we're
You
like
can search for products
the
by
background noise.
title, keyword, or product ID. When you find the product you'd like to match to, you can enter the new price or click the Sell This Product button.
If you guys want me to ask a question
Next,
in the
enter the
chat,
price
like
you'd
on your
like
behalf, I'm
into the
totally fine
standard
doing that. I'll
price
just
field.
copy and paste stuff
We'll talk
and throw it
more
over
about
there.
strategies
Or you
for
can join
keeping
this
your
live
prices
session from
competitive
your
a
own Seller
bit
Central
later.
account and write your own question.
When you're finished, click Save and Finish. To match your existing products to the lowest price in the Amazon store or the featured offer, update your price directly on your Manage Inventory page.
Yeah, this is all recorded, Katie.
There are some common errors that sellers may encounter when matching their listings. You will find that multiple products use the same product ID. When this happens, you'll need to contact Amazon to help us determine which ID your product should be matched to. Errors can also be caused when your product's data, like manufacturer, condition type, or part number, matches more than one product. You'll need to enter more specific product information when this happens. Sometimes Amazon will find a product match listed with a different associated stock keeping unit or SKU. This can happen if you reuse a previously associated SKU to fix the issue. So delete the SKU and resubmit your product data. Now let's cover some best practices for matching products to existing listings in the Amazon store. First, be sure to use unique product identifiers for your listings. So use a standard product identifier like an ISBN, UPC, or EAN. This is the most important factor in matching to
Does
existing
anyone else
listings.
feel like sometimes Amazon doesn't really understand um,
Next,
who they're talking
use
to
the
and
parts
what they're
number
saying? They're
issued
saying like
by the
this,
manufacturer.
well, like
This number
we're
is
listing on
different
already
from the
existing
product
things. It
SKU
doesn't seem like
and
it's
helps
applicable to a
manufacturers
reseller. I don't know. Maybe this is
identify
me being
their
picky.
products.
Is this AI talking? I don't think so because I heard her like chuckle earlier,
Be sure
but
to
it could be the
also
really good
provide
new
the full
AI because
brand,
there's some crazy good
publisher,
AI
or
voices now.
manufacturer name. Fill in each of the specific attribute fields that are relevant to your product. Don't use general purpose merchandising fields for these particular values. Finally, never reuse SKUs. If you need to change the SKU for a product, don't recycle old SKUs. Issue a new SKU for the product and reassign the product to that new SKU. Certain product categories and brands require
There we go.
approval
Here's
before you
here's
can
the juicy
list.
part that I've been waiting for.
When you're searching for products to add, click Add a Product in the Inventory section of the Seller Central main menu. Then on the next page, click the Show Limitations. This link is next to your item to find any necessary approvals. Clicking the Apply to Sell button on this page will begin the application process for approval in that category or brand. When you apply for approval to sell in a particular category or brand, you'll need to supply invoices for that product, as well as images, ensuring packaging standards and guidelines are met. If applicable, you may also be asked to provide relevant certifications or testing documents showing the product meets safety guidelines. When you apply to sell products from certain brands, you may be asked to provide a letter of authorization or invoice from a verifiable supplier before being approved. Now I will transition to my colleague, Ben.
Thanks, Lida. Hey everyone, my name is Ben and I'm an account representative here at Amazon. We're going to start talking about invoices. An invoice is a document that records the transaction of goods between a buyer and a supplier. It typically shows an itemized list of goods received in the terms of the actual sale. The invoice you submit to Amazon must be in either PDF or JPEG format. All information must be unobscured and easy to read, though you may omit pricing information if you wish. The invoice you submit must be issued within
I've
180
noticed that
days of the day your
they don't even
application is
have their own
submitted
A to A thing,
and must
which
include the
is on that
manufacturer's
same
or
page.
distributor's name.
All 5 of these bullet points
Your
are
full
are
name
on that
and address should be
ungated
included and
page
should match
as
the
bullet
information
points,
in your selling account.
but they're not
The
listed in
invoice
A to
must
A1,
also
which is
include the
interesting. I was hoping they would
manufacturer's
talk
or
about that.
distributor's full business address, website URL, or phone number. Finally, the invoice you provide must show the combined purchase of at least 10 units of the product you're applying to sell. The specific requirements for approval will vary by brand, category, and subcategory. To find detailed information on a specific category's requirements, search Overview of Categories in Seller Central and select the selling guidelines for the category you're interested in. Some common categories don't require
Quick
approval
question,
before you can list
because
products.
someone
For
was
example,
talking to me
the
about how
books
they would ask for
category does not
1,000
require
units on their
approval,
Nike
though
invoice.
collectible books have specific condition requirements. Categories like grocery and gourmet foods and health and personal care don't require approval but contain certain subcategories that do. When first getting started, be sure to review the specific requirements for the categories and subcategories you'd like to list in. As a best practice, apply for approval before you begin listing products that require approval.
I'm also disappointed they didn't touch at all on
Now let's cover
getting
some tips
automatically
for
engaged
deciding
in these
which
things.
products make sense to sell for your business. With the sheer number of products out there, it can be tough choosing what to sell. When you're considering carrying a new product, you can consult the Amazon bestseller list to see if your idea has potential. The Amazon bestseller list is updated hourly and shows the 100 most popular products in the Amazon store based on sales. You can use
Yeah,
this
this is
list, which
something, again, I
shows
feel
what
like they're
shoppers are
talking to the
buying,
wrong
to aid
audience.
in
This
your
would be for
product
a private label
research.
seller. He said, see if your idea is
You can
selling.
also use the
We're not looking for
Amazon movers and
ideas. We
shakers
just
list
want
to
the
help
stuff
you
that's
zero
profitable.
in
It's moving.
on the products you want to specialize in.
I would not
This
start any
list
of my
shows you
searches
the biggest
as a
gainers in
beginner
terms of
seller. I
sales
wouldn't
rank
start
over the
there.
last
There's
24
some niche
hours.
uses for what he's talking about, but
Use
they're
this
pretty
list to
niche.
find the top 100 trending product performers, how much sales rank has increased, previous rankings for products, number of reviews, and pricing range. Use each of these factors to help you determine which products could be the most profitable for your business. When considering products for your business, try to look for ways to put your own spin on trending products. When
Again,
you're
we're not
considering a
putting our own
specific
spin on a
product type
trending
or
product.
category,
That's a
ask
private label thing.
yourself
That's not something
what you
a
can improve
reseller
on
does.
that's already selling well, or if you can offer something even better. Look for high demand, low competition products. High demand products with a lower number of reviews could indicate lower competition and be a good space for your business to enter. You can also use product reviews to help guide your product improvements. Understanding customer feedback can help you get a sense of the pros and cons of a product and hone in on areas for improvement. Finally, always try to get creative. Look for ways to make a trending product unique, like offering a product year round or launch a new product of higher quality than the competition.
He just said launch a new. We're getting into private label. This is not reselling,
After
guys.
you've added your products, you may notice aspects of their detail pages you'd like to change. When multiple sellers offer the same product through a single detail page, Amazon will automatically combine the best product data from each seller submission to ensure the best customer experience. If your product is listed on a detail page, you can suggest edits and updates to it. To suggest an edit, select Manage Inventory from the Inventory section on Seller Central. Next, click the Edit button next to the product you want to update. On the Edit Product Info page, select the tab relating to the information you'd like to update. For example, choose Vital Information to update the title and key product information, use Images to edit the images, and Description to update the description and bullet points. Once you've made your edits, click Save. If your edits are accepted, they'll appear on the product detail page within 24 hours. If your contribution don't show within 24 hours, Amazon's system has selected another contributing seller's information. When you suggest updates for branded products that you aren't the brand owner of, you'll need to create a case with seller support and provide proof supporting the suggested changes. Proof can come in the form of a manufacturer's or publisher's website URL that clearly shows your suggested changes. This URL should also show a visible product ID if available. You can also submit high-resolution product photos that clearly show the suggested changes along with a visible product ID. This photo can be of the item in its original packaging also showing the product ID. Requests can't be accepted without a valid proof. When you add your offer to an existing product detail page, it can appear in a few different places. The prominent placement with Add to Cart and Buy Now buttons is the featured offer, formerly known as the Buy Box. Sellers can earn this placement based on a variety of factors, including competitive pricing and customer delivery promise. If your offer doesn't earn featured offer placement, it will appear in a section of other offers, which can be labeled as new and used or from other Amazon sellers. Featured offer placement is available to sellers with professional selling accounts. If you're a professional seller, check if your products are eligible for featured offers on the Manage Inventory page. Be sure you have the Buy Box Eligible column enabled. To enable that column, click Preferences on the Manage Inventory page, select the checkbox next to Buy Box Eligible, and click Save Changes at the bottom of that page. When enabled, this column will display whether or not each of your products are eligible for featured offer placement. Like we mentioned, one of the key factors in earning featured offer placement is competitive pricing. Keeping your pricing updated manually can be very time consuming, so we recommend using automate pricing to save time and stay competitive. You can use the automate pricing to automatically adjust
So real
prices
fast,
on
I'm gonna
SKUs in your
talk over this
catalog.
because none of you guys should be using their automated repricer. You can ignore
Automate
this
pricing lets you
entirely.
create custom rules and select
If
which
you
specific
guys want
SKUs
your questions
each rule will
answered,
apply
I
to.
recommend that you log
You
into
set a
Seller Central
minimum and a
now
maximum
and get
price
into
for
this,
each rule.
because
Automate
these
pricing will never
comments or
adjust
these
your
questions that
pricing
I'm
below the
posting, they go to
minimum or above the
moderation.
maximum
They're
you
not
set,
getting
helping you stay
posted yet.
competitive within a profit
So
margin you're comfortable
I
with.
can't guarantee that
Pricing rules
all or even
established when an
any of my
automated price
questions
change should occur.
will be
For example, you can
allowed
create a
through or
rule that
posted.
keeps a
So what I would
product's price
recommend,
10
just to
cents
increase
below
our
the featured
chances of
offer
getting some of
price,
these
but never below a
like
certain amount.
really common
You could also
frustrations
create a
out
rule that
there,
keeps your price a
is you
dollar
guys
above the
also go
lowest
in
available
and you
market
also
price
ask
with a
very
maximum you're
similar
comfortable with.
questions.
Keeping
Things
your
like
prices
having an
updated
invoice
and
work one
competitive
day and that
automatically can
exact
help you
same invoice
scale and
not work
streamline your
a few days
business.
later, or a month, whatever
Next, I'm
later.
going to hand this off to Lucy to talk about shipping options.
Thanks, Ben. Now, let's cover a few more things. With your inventory added and up to date with Automate pricing,
All
let's
right, now I'm
talk
back to
about your
Lucy might be an
options for
AI.
order
Lucy
fulfillment
is
and
like
how you
real
can
or
stay
not
efficient.
facial.
You have two main options for fulfilling orders as an Amazon seller. You can use Fulfillment by Amazon or FBA to let us fulfill your order. Or you can fulfill orders yourself, known as FBM, Fulfillment by Merchant.
There we go. I can turn it down like that. I'll do that next. I'm sorry.
With FBM shipping, you handle the coordination of delivery and tracking information with both your carrier and customer. When you handle shipping,
Basically, what I was saying earlier is that they're moderating these questions. So if you have something that you want answered, you should also post it for yourself, because none of the questions that I've posted have been let through via the moderation. So join this inside your own Seller Central and post these same similar questions about frustrations with regating or ungating and all that stuff.
longer than
Big issue
expected
going on right
transit
now with
times
sellers.
for standard shipping deliveries, which can lead to unnecessarily long delivery promises that are not as attractive to customers. We recommend that all FBM sellers aim to meet or exceed the shipping times that Amazon sets to provide the best customer service possible. Shipping Settings Automation, or SSA, can help you significantly simplify the delivery region and transit time calculation process. Just tell Amazon where you ship from and what shipping service.
Yeah, I agree, Tracy. This has so far been relatively disappointing. This is honestly, it's what I figured would happen. I figured that they wouldn't really know who their target audience was. They would just talk about private label stuff, even though they said this was for resellers. But I'm hopeful that their Q&A session at the end provides some sort of insight, or at least brings it to their attention that there's so many issues with ungating or regating right now.
Rate, or LSR. LSR tracks orders that have shipment confirmed after the expected ship date. You'll need to keep this below 4%. Your valid tracking rate, or VTR, tracks orders shipped with valid tracking and should always be above 95%. On-time delivery rate, or OTDR, tracks orders that arrive by their expected delivery date. Keep this metric above 97%. Any order cancellation that you initiate will affect your pre-fulfillment cancellation rate, or CR, which you will need to keep below 2.5%.
A little side note about this: if you're doing a lot of FBM and you start getting some errors or late shipments or whatever, the easiest way to fix this, well, obviously don't make those mistakes. But if you already made those mistakes, um, sell something that just sells crazy fast with like a 0% ROI, like packs of gum or something like that, where you can sell like 1,000 of these in a month. Because if you sell 1,000 of those perfectly, then all of your order defect rates and everything else will jump back up to normal rates.
When you're looking to automate more of your business. With FBA, you send your inventory to Amazon fulfillment centers. When you receive an order, we pick, pack, and ship the order for you. Amazon also handles returns, refunds, customer service, and provides tracking information for FBA orders, further streamlining your workflow. Eligible products enrolled in FBA can receive a Prime badge, offer free 2-day shipping, and be eligible for featured offer placement. FBA also gives you access to a range of tools and optional services you can take advantage of to further automate your business. Enrolling in FBA can give you access to multi-channel fulfillment, or MCF. MCF allows Amazon to fulfill orders for products that you sell through other e-commerce channels. You can automate your business further with FBA label service. When you enable FBA label service, Amazon will automatically apply barcode labels to your eligible inventory for a per item fee. If you handle fulfillment yourself, you will also be responsible for managing returns and refunds. Amazon automatically authorizes U.S. return requests that fall within the Amazon return policy. If a return request falls outside of this policy or is category exempt, it will be sent to the seller for manual authorization. Amazon will send you an email explaining the reason for the return. You will also be informed if the request does not comply with the return policies. Sellers are required to respond to return requests requiring a manual authorization within 24 hours. You can review and respond to return requests by selecting Manage Returns in the Orders section of the Seller Central main menu. When Amazon authorizes a return, we will provide your customer with a prepaid shipping label on your behalf through Buy Shipping Services. If a customer returns an order and you don't receive the returned item, or you would like to refute the refund, you can file a SAFE-T claim. The Seller Assurance for E-commerce Transactions process, known as SAFE-T, allows sellers to file claims for reimbursement when Amazon manual payment is required for your order.
A keyword to use
to get started, select Manage Safety Claims
like the wrong
in the Orders section
the
of the Seller Central main menu. You are required to issue a refund within 2 business days after you have received a return. If you don't act regarding the refund, Amazon may refund the customer on your behalf and charge the amount to your seller account. You can issue a refund either after the product is returned or immediately if you are allowing the buyer to keep the product, known as a returnless refund. If you want the product returned, we encourage you to wait until you receive it before issuing a refund to properly evaluate its condition. Monitor the refund to ensure it is issued to your customer in a timely manner. If you don't keep inventory on hand or can't send inventory to fulfillment centers for FBA, you may want to consider drop shipping. With drop shipping, your supplier sources or produces the product and stores the inventory. You host the online store, in this case, the Amazon store, and when a customer places an order, you process the payment and forward the order to the drop shipping service. That service then prepares and ships the orders on your behalf. To use drop shipping for your Amazon business, you must be the seller of record for your products. You should identify yourself as the seller of your products on all packaging slips, packing
So
slips,
basically, what this
invoices, and
means
external
is
packaging.
the customer has
You
to
should
receive
have
it.
an
They have
agreement
to
with
think
your
they're receiving it
supplier
from
stating that they
you.
will
They
identify
cannot be receiving
you
this from
and
Walmart, from
only
Lowe's, from
you
Sam's
as
Club, from
the
all these other
seller
places.
on all packing
The
materials
vast majority of people
included
that
in
do drop
connection
shipping
with
do
the
it from retail
products.
stores, and it breaks
Finding
the terms of
packaging,
service.
invoices, or
99%
receipts
of
that
the
show a
time,
seller
people are
that
doing this
neither
incorrectly.
you nor Amazon can create a confusing experience for customers. It's also important to keep in mind that with dropshipping, you are responsible for accepting and processing customer churns for your products.
All right. We're going to get started with our Q&A.
All right, here we go.
So what we're going to do is give Hillary, Ben, and Tyler some time to get on camera, and I'm going to cover a few
Ooh, they're
things. My
getting on
name is
camera too.
Lida. I'm part of the Seller University team. Welcome to our Best Practices for Amazon
Yeah, we
Resellers
recommended
webinar.
drop shipping
So if you've
within the
not
TOS. It's
come
always
to
actually
one of our
you are
webinars
allowed to
before,
drop
we
ship, but
do
it's
have
like
this
this
great
microscopic
portion that
alleyway
we
that
answer
is
questions
TOS
that have come
compliant,
into our moderated chat
and
room.
99%
So
of
a
people do
couple of
not
things
do
that
it
we're going to
that way.
cover here. Some of these are account specific questions that have already come in.
But yes,
We
it certainly
can't
sounded
answer
like that.
them specifically about your account. However, we can give you general guidance and best practices to find the link somewhere in Seller Central. So in your account, or we can give you some general guidance, but not
And
specific to your account,
the link for
unfortunately.
this is in Seller Central. If you go to
So
Seller Central and you
um,
look at the
make
news
sure to
section, you should see
continue to
a
ask
link for this
questions in our chat room
in news.
as our team will answer them. If and we may group some things together that make sense. There's lots of questions here about gating, so we may cover that all together
Keep them
in
coming.
one
Keep the
question.
gating questions
But
coming.
feel free to continue to put questions in the chat room. So here we are. Let's see here. We have on camera. So we have Tyler, Ben, and Hillary all on camera. They've started to answer some questions already, so I'll let them take it away.
I think I'm going to kick us off here with a couple of questions regarding approvals. So let me drop a couple of these in the chat.
There we go. Now we're getting to the juicy stuff. Hey, $5 says that this question is Randy. This sounds like how Randy would type this question. Was this you, Randy? Oh, are they still here? It's been a minute. Well, that's certainly convenient of them to have technical issues right before answering the really juicy questions.
Okay, it looks like I'll jump in. Looks like Ben lost his connection. So,
Convenient.
um, again, we can't address any specific seller account issues. However, my best advice for applying for or selling products that or categories that require approval to sell, I would make sure that you are working with an authorized wholesaler or distributor of that brand. We unfortunately don't have a list that we can provide you of authorized wholesalers and distributors. There are many out there. And for invoice requirements, you're going to want to make sure that that product has been purchased within the last 6 months. You've purchased at least 10 units of that brand. And on the invoice, you're going to show that you have it's going to show your address. It's going to show an amount paid, which is very important. You don't want to show an amount due. And you're going to want to have the address and location of that wholesaler or distributor. So that's for brands that require approval to sell. If there's categories that require approval to sell, things like children's toys or topical products, we may ask for some additional testing requirements for safety purposes so that we can make sure that our
Jamie.
customers are getting the safest products.
Jamie says
Hi, I'm back.
district
Sorry
is
about the
not
drop off.
dealt
Great,
with around
great answer,
support.
Hillary. To add a bit more context to that, sometimes we'll see retroactive blocking of particular ASINs because we've seen a specific peak of counterfeit items. And if we do see that, we will restrict you and you have to basically reapply invoices again to approve your supply chain. So when, I think we had a question from 96107 regarding a submission of 1,000 units on your invoice instead of 10. Particularly what we're trying to understand is where you're sourcing your most of your inventory from, and it's just to make sure that you're actually getting it from an authorized distributor or wholesaler. But thank you for taking over, Hillary. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great job. If there are follow-ups to this, go ahead and put them in, but we're going to go down the line from
Interesting. Sounds
submitted
like
questions to make sure that everybody
all
gets
the
a chance
redating stuff
to,
is gonna
that's
battle the
submitted a question,
counterfeit
gets a chance
stuff
for
that's
it to
been
get
all in the
answered
news
during our
recently.
Q&A. So there might be some follow-ups. Just know that we'll do our best to get to that. All right, Tyler.
Okay, so I wanted to address a question from participant 44583 in regards to custom. So just to kind of reframe the question to make sure I got it right, is this seller has approval from the brand to customize and sell this brand customized on Amazon. So anytime you're customizing, you're going to be creating a brand new ASIN because, like handmade listings, custom ASINs are single SKU, meaning only one seller can resell on them. Uh, However, the question here is about adding that as a variation. Um, when it comes to custom listings, there is often the option to have variations before the customization feature set. I recommend rolling all those things into the custom feature set. However, I also want to answer this question in another way as well, because you can have a listing that has, to use the examples here, like if the variation theme is just size or color, you can have maybe the product you're reselling in a couple different colors, but then the third option is a variation. There's not going to be a perfect theme for this. You just kind of have to, when you go through, maybe say it's color and you're making one of the variations custom, you would just have to call it the custom color and then add it there. So it's not going to be a perfect fit. For that reason, I do recommend that anytime you have a custom listing, you have it as its own standalone listing. So uh, that is my thoughts on that.
Awesome. Thanks.
I am happy to jump in next. And it looks like the question that we have is how often is the buy box rotated? And Tyler or Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's updated every 15 minutes.
That is
Okay,
correct. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's gonna be updated all throughout the day. So what's really important, I know we briefly touched on it. There's that automate pricing tool within Seller Central. So the two main factors that go into increase or how we choose the offer for the buy box is going to be shipping and pricing. So really ideally, if you have the your products in FBA that's going to help increase your buy box wins, but also the automate pricing tool. That is a free tool to you as a professional seller. And what it does is anytime that your offer is not in the buy box, it's going to update your price. And you can set custom rules. You can set a rule to say, if my offer's not in the buy box, I want to beat that buy box offer by a penny or by 5 cents. And that can help trigger our algorithm to say,
All right,
okay,
what do you guys
this
think? Do you think my
offer
question's going to go through? I don't think it's going to go through, but it's kind of ridiculous.
of customer obsession. We want to get the product as fast as possible to the customer at the best cost. So automate pricing is a really, really handy tool for resellers. I can jump into the next question as well. It looks like, how do we know if an item came back or not when doing FBA? I assume that you're referring to a return if you have your products in FBA. You can go ahead and clarify if you were referring to something else. How returns work in FBA is we will request that product back from the customer, and we'll evaluate that product to see if it's in sellable condition. So if it was in the exact condition it was listed at, the box is not open, things like that, then and we can resell it, that'll go back into your inventory. If it is a product that was opened or damaged or defective in any way, we will notify you and say there is stranded inventory. And you have a couple options there. You can either choose to have the product disposed of, or you can do a removal order and have that product sent back to you.
There's one here that's relating again to approvals, and it's why retail stores like Walmart or Costco receipts are not considered valid. And to give context on this, it's primarily due to the fact that these are considered retailers and they're not authorized to resell the product on behalf of the brand. They're only authorized to the end consumer in a retail package. That's why we want to utilize authorized wholesalers or distributor invoices to get you approved for that particular brand or ASIN.
All right, so I wanted to jump in. I see a couple questions about just like understanding payments and whatnot, and this one's from participant 17983, just about how long funds will stay in the account reserve. The short answer is this can depend. It depend on a lot of factors on how long you've been selling on Amazon, return rates, stuff like that. But in general, to kind of give an overview, especially as new sellers, what you can expect is that the funds are held in reserve for 14 days past the last possible delivery date. So not when the product was delivered or not, um, uh, yeah, when it was actually delivered or shipped, but from the last possible delivery date. Held for 14 days in reserve, and then it's freed up to then be dispersed in the next cycle. Cycles happen every 2 weeks. So depending on where it's released in that cycle, it can be anywhere from 1 day to 2 more weeks for payments to be dispersed. And then you also have got to account for any fees that you accrue during kind of that payment cycle reduces the payouts. So all that to say is that certainly starting off, you payments can feel like they take a while, but once after about 30 days or so, they start coming out much more consistently, being dispersed much more consistently.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thanks, Tyler. All right. And then I think just to consolidate, there's a few things happening in the chat room just to consolidate that is there's some links that weren't working. We're working to get those the right links to you to click in. But just to be aware, these you do have to be in your Seller Central account for some of these links to work because they are housed in your selling portal. All right. Let's see here. I think we have additional questions. There's some great questions coming in. We're hoping to group them all together and get to them, but there are definitely some great inputs here from this group. Thanks for being so active.
You're welcome.
I can jump in for the question. Can we repeat all of those videos and information in Amazon Seller University, yes, you can. There is Seller University's fantastic way to learn on how to sell on Amazon. There's a lot of 3 to 5 minute videos. If you go to the menu bar in Seller Central, you go down to the Learn tab, you'll see a couple options there. You'll see Seller University, where you can go in and click on previous and other webinars that we've done. But you'll see all of those videos are all categorized. So you can search within Seller University for those videos. I will also say there under the Learn tab, there is a seller forums option, which is a really handy place as a new seller. You can go and ask questions. About particular issues that hurdles you may be running into, and you'll have sellers that may respond to you about experiences that they have had. You can read about other experiences that other sellers have had, and sometimes these can be a little bit more specific. So for anybody who has had more specific questions around, Nike gating, for example, or requiring 1,000 units versus the 10 units, I think Ben did a great job with an overview. Sometimes you can get a little bit more specific information based on other sellers' experiences in that seller forum.
No, this is
And then
false. You
lastly, I'll finish
cannot
off
get
with that search
information
bar
in
in
the
the top of
seller
Seller
forums that
Central
is
is
useful.
a
That is just
fantastic
that is
tool.
blatantly
It
wrong.
basically is
Do not go there for
your search bar
information.
for everything Seller Central. So you can put in things like send to Amazon or restricted products, and it's going to pop up a window over on the right hand side of your page, and it's going to give you all of these resource pages. That's going to give you all of the details for the issue that you may be running into, or walk you through how to do some things, as well as providing Seller University content as well.
Awesome. Sweet. All right.
I'll also address a couple of restricted product questions and not approval questions. Are going to be restricted by Amazon directly for various risk signals that we see internally. Like I said, if there's an increase of counterfeit items for that particular listing, or we have closed off any new applicants for that particular brand. Unfortunately, currently there's no pathway to ungate yourself in a restricted category or restricted brand. If that changes in the future, and that does change pretty much on a daily basis, that ASIN itself will be eligible to be applied to approval.
Perfect. Um, I will jump into a few more questions so that we can try to get to as many questions as possible. And again, thank you guys for being so active. How do I access a drop shipping option? So
I don't
within
know, you
Seller
guys. It
Central, you
feels
can
like they're
find
just
the
kind of
drop shipping
tiptoeing
policy.
around
And
these
just as a
questions because they
reminder,
don't have
like we went
answers.
over, you're going to want to make sure
What
that
do you
you
What do you
are the
think? Let me
seller
know in
of
the chat.
record. So
What are your
Amazon
feelings
does
so far?
allow you to drop ship. However, you need to make sure that the product and the packaging are going to arrive with you as a seller of record and not a third party. To access drop shipping, we don't have any specific tools within Seller Central. What you're going to need to do is do some additional research on authorized drop shippers and establish that relationship, just like you would establish a relationship with a authorized wholesaler or distributor, and make sure that you would look through that drop shipping policy, that all of you fall within all of those within that
Yeah,
policy,
like it's interesting
and
that
then
they
you can
told
work on
us
building a
to go to the
relationship with a
seller
drop shipper.
forums to get
And again, a
answers
drop
about how to
shipper
get
is
ungated
where
in Nike.
you do not have the
Like
product
I
present
dare you
in
guys
your
go to the seller forums
warehouse that you're going to be
and
shipping
try
out.
to look that
So it
up.
would be a merchant fulfilled
Okay,
product,
not only
but
will you
then your
not
third
find the
party
answer,
drop
you will
shipper
find incorrect
is going to
answers,
send that out
and they
on your
just
behalf
outsort
once you
like
get an order
they are
for
Amazon. We asked Amazon a
that
question and they
product.
said, well, the best
Um,
place to do this is
I'm
to
going
just
to
and
address
ask your
this because we see
friends,
a couple of
basically, is
questions in
what
the
they
same
told us to
realm
do.
here.
I don't know, that just kind of
Hello, I used to
pisses me
sell
off.
a brand in an open ASIN for several months before the brand owner decided to monopoly the brand and kick the other sellers out of the brand's ASINs. Amazon's requests for approval are not going through and they're getting rejected in a few seconds. Usually, what this means is we've had a direct contact with the brand and the distributors that there was some counterfeit inventory going on or multiple customer complaints in regards to the actual authenticity of the product, and that basically secures the ASIN for only the authorized brand representative that we have under the brand registry profile. So what will happen here is unless we have an authorized distributor invoice from the list of the brand's or from the list of these authorized resellers that the brand has approved, that ASIN will pretty much be permanently restricted until we gain an understanding of how big the scale of the issue is.
Thanks, Ben. Products, I wanted to go back to the question about FDA approval.
That's a good question,
So
Samira.
that is
No
going
is the
to
correct answer,
be,
but I will put that in chat and see what they have to
getting
say.
too specific. That's going to be more category based to that requires approval to sell. And when you're thinking about category based, again, it's back to safety. So and feel free to jump in, Ben or Tyler, but in my experience, it's generally topical products, so products that are going to be put on the skin, or consumable products, so the products that are going to be eaten. So that is information that may need additional FDA approval.
Yeah, and do your due diligence. The FDA is huge, and when it comes to their regulations, it's massive. Do your research on what products actually need FDA labeling, FDA requirement. Recently, we've seen a new push on beauty products as well. So as long as you're adhering to those particular products within the FDA's website and rules and regulations, you should be good to go.
All right, I'm going to jump into one question about getting a specific rep in the catalog department. I think the hope being here that if you've been working with someone, how can you continue to? I'll reframe this a different way. When reaching out to seller support, frankly, just the size of how many sellers we have and how many cases being cut, you're not going to get the same rep. And for this purpose, you're really going to want to make your case to seller support ideally resolved the first time that you reach out. Some tips for doing this, and where I see people go sideways as new sellers a lot, is they ask or frame a question that requires the rep to do quite a bit of research if they were to truly resolve it. And this is going to be a tough way to get an answer. So think about it this way: when you cut a seller support case, whether it be about a listing issue or anything else, you really
That's
kind
a
of
good
want to
question. 2351.
what actually happened and what the outcome was that you were trying to get. And so you want to use as many specifics as you can, including ASINs or SKUs or any data that you can provide. So when the rep gets this case, they have a great framework for what the issue is and what's attempting to be accomplished and what you're asking. So
I love that, Tyler. Thanks for that. I think that I just want to expand a little bit on that is that the more information you give them, the better. And the back end to limit the back and forth, right? So giving one line answers, thinking they like know all the details of your account when they get it is super challenging, right? They're not going to know all of the ins and outs. So the best way that you can do that is to make sure you don't give one line answers. So that's great. I know there's a couple things here, and I just want to do a time check. We do have a few minutes left to get through these. These questions are fantastic, and unfortunately, we can't get to. A lot of them are. Individual account ones that we're trying to blanket into one answer here based off of what we have, but just know that the resources that Hillary pointed out and that we're talking about here in seller support, seller forums, your seller university, and the YouTube channel are your best resources to start with and to get specific questions answered on your account. Make sure you use kind of that blanket that Tyler gave you. All right, go ahead. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We want to make sure to get you guys all the resources that you can, and just know that it's Seller University, the search bar, resource pages, and seller forums are going to be a great way. To answer the question about the generic listings, I don't have a whole lot of experience with working with sellers that have had their accounts deactivated due to matching to generic listings. If you're matching to a listing,
What is the
well,
biggest
let me back
eye
up.
roll
In a
moment?
situation where you're matching to a generic listing, you're going to want to make sure everything is identical. The quantity, the size, the color. So you may see a product, for example, let's say you got a product from Alibaba and you went and found that product on Amazon and it was a shower head, for example. And I'm the seller and I have it labeled as Hillary shower heads. You think that your product looks just the same, maybe even from the same manufacturer. You're not going to want to match to that listing because your
Now,
product
this
is
is
not
correct. This
branded
is
with
good
Hillary
advice.
shower heads on
Every
it.
Christmas,
So
we
if
have
you
beginners that
can't
run into
find a
this
generic
exact
listing,
mistake.
that means it's
This is
not
good.
branded with the exact same product. You're going to want to create your own listing where you would add all of the selling attributes there.
I have a quick follow-up on that too, Hillary. So what we've seen recently is a loophole that resellers are using by creating a generic listing for a branded item. For example, someone might have a specific Nike shoes and they would just create the listing as generic, and then another reseller will jump on that listing, and that's a direct violation of our generic listing policy because you know for a fact that that particular product is actually a Nike product, for example. So make sure you do your due diligence when you're actually jumping on a listing that's branded generic to make sure the actual product is actually generic.
We have a couple questions in the chat. Thank you, Ben, about products that require approval to sell. So Amazon is not an authorized distributor
Yes, they
of
are.
products, and so you're going to want to work with authorized wholesalers or distributors of that
What?
product and provide that
It's
invoice.
literally on their
If you
page.
have had that invoice decline multiple times, I would go back and take a refresher on the invoice requirements and make sure all the details are there. Again, I work with sellers that have sent in invoices with an amount due, small detail, but you're going to want to make sure you show an amount paid. Your address is the same address as the one in your business address is in Seller Central, and that it is in fact an authorized distributor of the brand. What if a brand threatens to you to stop selling? So if there is a brand or category that requires approval, obviously we're going to ask for that invoice. If you have a brand, if you have a product that has been removed due to a counterfeit complaint, so if I'm a brand owner of a product, I hold the trademark for that product, I do have access to the report a violation tool to prevent counterfeit offers being on my listing. And in that case, if you had a product removed because it was a potential
Guys,
counterfeit, you're going to need
she literally
to
just said
submit that invoice
that
to
you
show
can't
the authenticity of the
order 50
product and that
units
you're
from
getting it
Amazon
from
to
an
get ungated. But
authorized
this is literally
distributor.
on the
If
page. It
you,
says,
we
what do you need to get
unfortunately can't
ungated?
advise on
Send us
any
an order of 50 units or
notifications
whatever
that you
from
may get
Amazon business
outside of
account.
Seller Central.
It's directly
However, the only
on their
way for a
own
brand
page,
owner
and
is
they
if
just
they have the
contradicted it.
trademark and they
Ugh.
report a violation for a potential counterfeit, then you can appeal and offer that either letter of authorization or invoice.
Yeah, I'll also follow up on the SPN network question that was just asked here. What we always say is, at the end of the day, you're the seller on record. So you want to do your due diligence to understand if someone else is controlling the account, regardless of whether they're an SPN agent or not. Do your due diligence, double check your resources,
Anyone in chat,
the
send an
actual
ASIN
agency, see
that
if they're actually
is
vetted. Do they have
requiring the
case studies?
Amazon
When you're giving
unit
access to your
thing,
account,
like where
remember the
it's that
permission
direct
access
verbiage
remains
is
agency.
on the
Make sure they
ungating
only
page. Does
see
anyone have one
what they
handy?
can see versus seeing your entire account. We've had many instances where a new seller will come in, they'll hire an agency to handle an account for them and just flip on admin access for every single tool. And that's not really a right thing to do. You own that product, that Seller Central account, you're the seller on record. So if your account gets shut down for whatever reason, it's due to the fact that you haven't done your due diligence, you've given them access to your entirety of the account, which might even include sensitive information. So be wary on what type of permissions you're giving a third party agency.
And I'll jump into the next one real quick because we've just got a few minutes left.
Yes.
Amazon Prime eligible for FBA. All of my products are in FBA and not showing as Prime eligible. Why is this? This is a question that we get often as we work with new sellers on Amazon. your product needs to be fully processed into a fulfillment center, and then it will automatically have that Prime badge on there. A lot of times when, especially going into peak season, like we have Prime Days coming up next week, we're going to get a lot of intake the months leading up to that event. So it may take a little bit longer for your product to be processed. And we may even, it's very common to have your product sent into a fulfillment center and then transferred to different fulfillment centers because we are trying to get your product in the demographic where it's in the highest demand so we can get it to your customer as quickly as possible. But once it's all processed into FBA and the shipment is labeled as closed, you should have the Prime badge on there.
Awesome. All right. Gosh, so many great answers. And I know there's a lot of questions that got grouped together. But as part of our continuing service to sellers here, I'm going to put up a webinar post. It's our survey. So here's a poll here for you to take. We would love to get your feedback. It is so helpful to understand,
What do you guys
what
think?
if there's anything that we are
Do you think this was
missing
relevant for
here,
us?
if
Agree,
we
disagree?
could
I'm
serve
sort of
you
at a
better.
two where like
And just know
most
that
of it was
these webinars
irrelevant or
are
wrong.
for
But there was a
general
couple
use, right?
things
Like we
that they
cannot
did
hit
say that
all
were
the
relevant.
categories
I'm
and
feeling like
all
I'll
of
give them
the
1
topics
point.
that are,
What do you guys think? Let me
quite
know in the chat.
complicated when you're serving on any platform products to the seller or to buyers. And just know Amazon really, as a as a sorry here, as a business, really looks to be the best trusted source, so that the buyer can have the most confidence in what they buy off of our website. So there are really high bars to meet in some areas, especially if it's consumables and categories where it's topical or applied to the body or could be at risk to any, any at-risk population. So just
Thank you
know
guys.
like
Yeah,
kids,
I took a
elderlies,
screenshot. I
adults,
posted the
and
screenshot right there
whatnot
for
that have
them,
some,
and this
maybe
shows
health
them. But I think we're
challenges,
out
we
of
take
Q&A
all of
time.
those
I might pop
products
in tomorrow. This is
very
happening
serious.
again
So
tomorrow,
there
same
are,
exact time,
there's a few
and the day
minutes.
after,
So
same
if
exact time. So I
Hillary,
might pop
Bennett,
in at like
and Tyler
1:20,
want
1:30
to answer
tomorrow
any of those
evening and
questions,
post this exact same A to
typing
A
in the
question. They just
moderated
told me
chat
that this was
instead of
not
live right
allowed,
now as we're
but it's
taking the
literally
survey,
on their
that would be
page.
great.
So
We do have several different webinars that are taking place tomorrow, and Thursday
no.
will be the exact same
Can we
as the
apply what
content
we
we covered
learned?
today.
I would put
We
this
will
as a
have
1. I would say
Q&A
strongly
again.
disagree.
So you're more than welcome to come. If there was some information that you wanted to grab or you came late, feel free to join the ones either on Wednesday or Thursday. We do have several different webinars that are coming up that should be in your Seller Central webinar tab. If you go into Seller University, the webinar tab there, I encourage you to sign up. There were some questions about listings where we have a very thorough listings, adding listings to your
They got
store
this
or as
wrong.
a
I
reseller
would
or
say
even
no.
a brand
They were
owner.
not skilled.
And then
They
we have
actively
FBA,
answered
and we
things incorrectly.
dive deep into the send to Amazon
Our
workflow and
level
how
of
to best
advance
get through those steps.
hard pass.
All right. And I know we're at time. So I know everybody did such a great job putting questions in, and
That was fine.
we answered a ton of questions altogether. There was a lot that came in. So I just want to
They
say
did
thank
answer
you
some
to
questions. I'll give
Tyler,
them a point
Hillary,
for
and
at
Ben
least
for joining us
talking to
today
us.
and for giving us all this great information. I know that we are all here to serve you and make sure that you have the best experience as a seller getting through some of these hurdles. So we appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here.
What?
Appreciate that.
Wow.
So this concludes our session for today.
All right.
We
We'll
look
have to come
forward
back
to
tomorrow, guys.
continually serving you as a seller on Amazon and getting our experts in front of you during these webinar timeframes to answer
Yeah,
questions.
totally
This is
agree,
the largest
Jamie.
platform that Amazon has to address any questions about
Totally
our
agree.
certain topics that we cover. We hope that you'll continue to come and learn more.
All right. Well,
All right.
that's all they've got from them. That was I don't know. It's about what I expected. I can't say that I'm like, I don't know. I can't say I'm, well, I mean, I'm disappointed. What would be the word? It's like, that's exactly what I expected, and I didn't expect it to be very much. I was not pleasantly surprised. Thank you for attending. Rate this event. I'll give it a 3. I mean, they held it. the pre-recorded content was not for resellers. It was for brand owners looking to make new listings. The post Q&A session mostly tiptoed around, around the questions, and occasionally actually gave us incorrect answers. Rate. There we go. All right. I don't know if anyone's going to read that, but hey, yeah. What do you guys think? Should we come back tomorrow at 1:30 and post some of these questions again, see if we can get any more answers? I feel like there's not going to be any answers for us. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I am going to be doing the teaching, which kind of frustrates me because these people should understand what they're doing. But none of these people that we're talking sell stuff on Amazon. I think that's pretty apparent. None of them have dealt with their own support system. None of them have ever attempted to get ungated in anything. That's for dang sure. Yeah, the fact that they told us that you needed to use only authorized distributors and that Amazon's list of authorized distributors changes every day and that we cannot access their list of authorized distributors. I mean, that's just kind of ludicrous when you start thinking about that. And then the fact that they told us that the Amazon invoice does not work for ungating when it literally says it right here. Here, I'll share my screen again. I'll turn this one off. Like it literally, this is why I don't know why people still pay for like ungating help, because this works 100% of the time if you are able to get ungated. Now, the problem is there's these random brands where it's just like, it just doesn't let you in no matter what you do. Here, let me share this. All right. Look, right here. All right. Selling brand for Taylor branded products, right here. It's providing an Amazon, and it's not even like, it's if providing an Amazon invoice or order confirmation. So this is telling us a couple things. This is saying that an order confirmation is also an acceptable form. I think that can be inferred from this sentence. Any order confirmation could be accepted. That an Amazon invoice is also fine. This says, please show a combined fulfillment purchase of at least 50 units. And then for all other invoices, show a combined of 10 units. And the problem here is like this also is not always true. I was just talking to one of the other mods that had something kicked back that said, oh, we need 1,000 units. But the page still says 10 units. So yeah, they need to be more clear with these instructions. They need to know their own rules a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll pop back in tomorrow at about 1:20. After that beginning stuff was pretty worthless. I don't really understand why anyone would watch that. If you're in that video watching it, clearly you're already a seller. Like I don't really see, that was like super basic, like, oh, here's how to list a product. All right, the amount of people that are going to have the knowledge to access that video, like if we make a Venn diagram, like here's the people that are early sellers that don't know how to list something, and here's the people with enough knowledge so that they know how to click on that video to join that webinar. I don't think that those two circles intersect at any point. It's just, yeah, I don't really understand why they did that beginner intro stuff, but the Q&A, I'm happy that they did it. I will give them credit where credit is due. It is very unusual that they actually listen and that you can actually talk to somebody and voice something. Now, unfortunately, their answers, I felt like they kind of tiptoed around it and that they would often answer things just wrong. And if they thought about how they were answering these questions, I think that they would realize that too. So I don't know if they just don't understand what they're saying fully, or if they have a very strict script that they must adhere to and they cannot go off that script. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll leave this up. This is a recording, so this is recorded here on our Facebook group and the YouTube channel. Feel free to drop your own thoughts. If you disagree with something that I said or a feeling that I got, let me know. It's totally cool to have different points of view and different feelings about this. So maybe you loved it. Tell me why you loved it. Tell me what it answered, or tell me what it reaffirmed. You're like, aha, I told you this wasn't allowed. Like, well, okay. All right. I'll still disagree with you, but you're still allowed to have that opinion. All right. That's it for me, guys.